Hello and greetings from the bookish baddie and her big hair. I am back with another video, and can you guess what it's about? I finally finished my Goosebumps read. So I finished it a few months ago, but I'm finally here to talk about it because it's been a long journey. All right, let's get into it. So I started this journey in September of 2023, and like in honor of like spooky season, and also in an effort to continue to feed and nurture my inner child. As a kid, I always really wanted all the Goosebumps books. Like, my cousin had them all and I wanted them all. I wanted to read them all, and I just never had the opportunity to. And so as an adult, I had a couple of them that I maybe got thrifting, or just over the course of life, I probably had like 3 or 4 of them. And so I had those in my collection. I was like, I'm going to collect all the original ones. So the original 60 something or another. I can't remember how many. And so I bought them all just over time on like Mercari, eBay, etc. And I set on the journey of reading them all cover to cover from the first book all the way to the last of the original set of Goosebumps books. And so I am here today to give you like my semi-ranking. So I'm not going to rank them like 1 through, but I separated them into 3 categories. So ones that were a no for me, ones that were and ones that I was like, oh yes. So let's get into those piles. We're going to start with the ones that were a no for me. And these are probably going to go pretty quick because some of them I was like, I don't even remember what it was about. So clearly it's a no for me. So let's start with those. All right, here we go. So let's start with the Monster Blood books. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All of these were in my no pile. I was not a fan of the Monster Blood situation. It just felt like really hoaxy. And for Monster Blood to have been the 3rd book after Welcome to Dead House and Stay Out of the Basement, which were both like sufficiently creepy for a children's series, Monster Blood just felt like, it just felt a little gimmicky to me, and all of them felt that way. And I felt like it just progressively got worse through the 4 books. So these were a no for me. Okay, these are in no particular order. Egg Monsters from Mars. I remember it, but I was not a fan of it. If I'm ever to like revisit some of the Goosebumps books, this would not be one of them. Vampire Breath. And like, the cover is so good that I was like, oh, I'm gonna like this one. And I didn't. I was shocked. No thanks. Why I'm Afraid of Bees. Bore Fest. I was so bored. No thank you. And I also don't like the cover. Like, come on now. And hear me when I say, I think the Goosebumps covers are some of the best book covers in the history of book covers. But this one, it didn't give for me. Okay, let's see what's next. Calling All Creeps. Good in concept, but execution just really didn't give for me. But I love the color choices. The pink with the gray. I like that. The Beast from the East. I don't remember it. So it's a no. Chicken. Not much that needs to be said there. My Best Friend is Invisible. It had a lot of potential. It just didn't quite reach said potential, which I feel like as we got towards the end of the books, it kind of got a little sketchy. Like, it was hit or miss towards the end of the books. And this is book number 57. So this is towards the end of that original series. Ghost Beach. So I remember this cover from when I was a kid, and I remember wanting to read it, and I never got a chance to. So when I got to it, I was like, oh, it's going to be so good. It wasn't so good. Wasn't into it. It was just kind of slow, in my opinion. The Scarecrow Walks at Midnight. You know what? This actually belongs in the maybe pile. It actually belongs in the maybe pile. This one I do remember, and I do remember being like, okay, this is better than I thought, because I felt like the cover, I mean, like, it's a nice cover, and the Scarecrow's face is like, yeah, you know, they did a good job on the cover, but it's not one that stands out to me. But the book itself was pretty solid. So I'm going to say, even though I'm talking the no pile, this I should have put in the maybe pile. The Barking Ghost, I remember this cover. The book didn't deliver for what the cover gave, in my opinion. Still love the cover though. Iconic. And last but not least, Return of the Lawn Gnomes. I didn't think I would like it, and I didn't. What can I say? Sometimes you just know yourself. So this one was a no for me. All right, let's move on to the middle ground, the maybes. I kind of like that, but I wasn't crazy about it pile. Okay, let's get into our middle of the road pile. So those books that were not an absolute no, but they were also not a resounding yes. Okay, so starting with Werewolf of Fever Swamp. I really enjoy this one. First of all, love the colorway on the cover. Love, love, love. Secondly, it really kept my attention. So I read this one super quick. Like, all of them are obviously quick reads. Like, they're not that long, big print. But this one I read through super quick. It was like easy to follow. I enjoyed the characters. It was good. The Legend of the Lost Legend. I just love a book about a book writer. Like, I love a story about a storyteller. So that automatically had me in. So really enjoyed this one. I thought it was good. I thought it was quick paced. Great. Shock on Shocker Street. A Shocker on Shock Street. Excuse me. I didn't expect to like this one as much as I did. Like, the cover, I'm like, what is this? This is not for me. It was for me. I liked it. I enjoyed it. This one I feel like is iconic. I mean, I feel like everybody, all the 90s kids remember this book cover. How I Got My Shrunken Head. Classic Goosebumps. Possibly the most iconic cover, in my opinion. Possibly. At least top 3. And so I was super excited to read this one because I didn't get a chance to read this when I was younger. And I think because I had hyped it so much, it felt kind of middle for me. But I do love a really good adventure book, and I feel like this one gave really, really more adventure than I thought that it would give. So this one was really good, but it didn't live up to the hype that I thought that it would. Bad Hair Day. I like magic. I like movies about magic. I like shows about magic. This had some magic in it. It had a little bit of scam magic in it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. And I even felt like, with some tweaks and some additional like fantasy and horror, this could be made into an adult book. So I like that. Say Cheese and Die Again. I loved the original Say Cheese and Die. It's in my yes pile, spoiler alert, so much that the second one just was kind of like, it's not as good as the first. You know how it is. When the first is really, really good, you gotta work hard to get the second one to be as good. So, you know, it follows the same characters, the same kind of premise, but it just did not meet up to the expectation of what that first one did. So, nah, it was a middle of the road for me. How I Learned to Fly. I didn't expect to like this one because I felt like, you know, the book cover. And I personally judge a book by its cover. So if I am picking up a new book, if I don't like the cover, I'm probably not going to read the book unless somebody highly recommends it. So I say all that to say, sorry, my dog is doing something I have no idea about right now. Don't have no kids, y'all. So this one was better than I expected. It had a little dark science vibe to it as well, which I was like, okay. I feel like with children's books, typically it's like one setting, maybe two. So I enjoy when it's like switching up the settings. It's a couple different places. It, you know, kind of takes you for a little bit of a loop. So I like that about it. It came from beneath the sink. A lot of people will rank this low, but I feel like for nostalgia's sake, this was good to me because I really liked the show and I really enjoyed this episode of the show. So I'm going to stick with it. I'm standing by my decision. It was all about like an evil sponge, and I thought it was cute and cheeky and I enjoyed it. So I stand by my decision. Deep Trouble. Love this cover. Iconic cover. I remember this from when I was younger too. And I thought it was good. It was like a, you know, about like somebody who was a deep sea explorer, and some kids were able to, I think it was his niece and nephew, were able to go and visit him, and all about the discoveries. And there was like a villain. Like I enjoy when there's like a villain as opposed to like a spirit or zombies or whatever. So I thought it was pretty cool. I like this one. Go Eat Worms. I remember this one, reading this one. I remember it vividly because I hate worms. But that being said, if I remember it vividly, it has to get some kind of play. It got to get some kind of recognition. Attack of the Mutant. Did not expect to like this one, but I liked it. It gave like comic book vibes. I thought it was super cool, super adventurous. I enjoyed this one. Deep Trouble 2. So we just talked a bit about Deep Trouble 1. This one I liked slightly less, but I still enjoyed it. Those same characters come back for this one. It's the same setting, but a different scenario. But because I like those characters and I like the first one, this one was a really good follow-up. I feel like it was almost equally as good as the first. My Harriet's Adventure. A lot of people rank this one really low too, and I get it because it is a little perturbing to read as a adult, because it's like, is this about puberty? But as a kid, that's something kids are learning about. So I understood it in concept, and therefore it fit in the middle of the road for me. All right, last two. The Headless Ghost. I wanted this one to be better. I wanted to love this one. I love the cover. I love the colors, but it just was, it was just all right for me. Like Randy Jackson used to say on American Idol, it was just all right for me. All right, and last but not least, Night of the Living Dummy 3. So obviously if we're at the end of the middles, the other two are in my top, but this one, it's good, but it's just a little bit below as good as the first two. So this one I believe is the one where they have a cousin who comes to town, and the cousin's causing ruckus with the dummies, and it just felt like, okay, we could have been done with the dummies after the second one. I think the third one just kind of like took it over the edge, and it was like, oh, there's a lot of dummies now, the dummies are taking over, which dummy is it? It was a lot going on. So good, but not as good as the others. And now the moment we've all been waiting for, my favorites of the Goosebumps books. And this is the longest list. So these were all yeses for me. Really enjoyed them. Would read them again if I ever decide to do a Goosebumps revisit. So first of all, Night of the Living Dummy and Night of the Living Dummy 2. Great books. Fantastic. I understand why Slappy is such an icon. These books deserve. Well done. 10 out of 10, no notes. Same with The Haunted Mask 1 and 2. This is also, these two are also two of my favorites in the show series, because books, well done, show, equally as well done. When does that happen? Very rarely. I really enjoy Carly Beth. This is probably the character who I remember and enjoy the most. She was tired of them boys scaring her, and she was like, I got something for y'all. I'm about to find the scariest mask I can find. I'm about to wear y'all out. And she did, but it came with some consequences. It was good. I enjoyed these. Okay. How to Kill a Monster. Very cute. Very good. I enjoyed it. Don't Go to Sleep. This could be a scary movie, like an adult scary movie. It was actually quite frightening in concept. It really was. I was kind of like, oh, this is kind of scary. Same thing with I Live in Your Basement. Actually, this might be the scariest one to me. I was like, this is actually a very frightening thought. Very frightening. And look at the cover. Ugh. Interesting stuff. Werewolf skin. Yeah, it's one of them ones. This was good. Let me just refresh myself. Oh, yes. So the main character loves photography, goes to visit his aunt and uncle. They're professional photographers, but he can't go to the house next door. It's mysterious. And it gets kind of creepy. It's good. Curse of Camp Cold Lake. So one thing that I found in my Goosebumps read is that I really enjoyed almost all of the ones that were camp based. Those were amongst my favorite across the board. Curse of Camp Cold Lake being one of those. Main character Sarah, she hate the lake, she hate the camp, and child, it hate her back. So I'm gonna say about that. The Blob That Ate Everyone. As I mentioned, I really enjoy stories about storytellers, books about writers. This was another one, and it was like, oh, when your writing comes to life. And I'm like, I like that. I love that concept. Phantom of the Auditorium. I thought this was such a cute take on Phantom of the Opera, that they had a Phantom of the Auditorium, like haunting the auditorium. I thought it was really good. They did a good job with this one. And I love the cover. I'm a purple girly, as you can see. And so I love the purple on the Phantom. This one was very well done. Let's Get Invisible. This had a good twist at the end. You know, Goosebumps, I don't typically believe in, like, or expect rather, like, oh, there's going to be a plot twist at the end that's going to leave you hanging. This one really did at the end. I was like, oh, you did that. You did that, Ariel. Same with The Girl Who Cried Monster. Same thing here. And this is also one of my favorite episodes of the Goosebumps show. This one, creepy man that works at the library, she catch him eating bugs and stuff and finds out that he's a monster, but then he's on to her, and then her family gets involved, and then at the end, I'm gonna just give y'all a spoiler. At the end, her family is also monsters, and so then they decide to eat the monster. It was good. The original Welcome to Dead House. A perfect book, a perfect episode on the show, a perfect book cover. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Book number 2 from the series, Stay Out of the Basement. Perfect book, perfect episode on the show. Perfect, perfect, perfect. There's also 2 covers of this book, so look it up, Google it. There are 2 different ones. So Tim Jacobus did one, and then a different author did another one. So let me know in the comments if you've seen both of them, which one you prefer. Say Cheese and Die. So good. So like 90s feeling. You know, these kids are exploring in the neighborhood. Like, I feel like kids don't even go outside no more, let alone explore in the neighborhood. And they go to this house and they find this camera, but every time they take a picture, the picture shows something different than what's happening, and it ends up showing how the person in the picture is either going to hurt themselves or die. So like, he takes a picture of his family's new car, and then when he looks at the picture, the car is like totaled, and he's like, that's weird. And then like a day later, the car actually gets totaled. It's a cool little concept, and I feel like it definitely feels like the 90s, which I enjoy. Welcome to Camp Nightmare. I already told y'all, I just like the camp books. Something about them just give Are You Afraid of the Dark? And I love that show. A Night in Terror Tower. Really enjoyed this one. I wish I enjoyed the show as much as I enjoyed the book here. But the book was good, and it had a nice plot twist at the end. Again, you will find that I really like the ones that have an unexpected plot twist or turn in them. I think all of those found their way into my top picks list. Piano Lessons Can Be Murder. This one was so corny that it was cute. That's all I can say. The Haunted School. I loved this one. I loved this one. Which this one was number 59. And again, the ones towards the end got a little And so I wasn't expecting to enjoy it, and I loved it. It reminded me of something more current, something we would see on a teen show these days. It was good. Attack of the Jack-O-Lanterns. I did not expect to like this one, and I really did. It took me for a ride, and it actually was pretty creepy. I was like, now that'll keep you up at night. That's a little haunting, I can't lie. One of what I think is the most iconic covers. Camp Jelly Jam, the horror at Camp Jelly Jam. Look at him. He's terrifying. This one I read a lot when I was younger. It was one of the ones that I had growing up. And I remember really liking it. And when I read it this time, I was like, okay. I'm not going to say I don't like it because obviously it's in my top picks. But it weirded me out. Like I had like body creeps. I didn't like how it made me feel, but in a good way that it creeped me out, I guess. One Day at Horrorland. Again, I like the camp books. They're all in here. This one, I felt like I was there, and I enjoy a book that makes me feel like I'm one of the characters. I'm there. I can see it. I can smell it. I can taste it. I know what's going on. I'm scared. I'm anxious because I want to get out of here just as bad as y'all do. You know, the kids are trapped in the camp. They can't find their parents. They find their parents and they can't get out. It's a maze. There's no way out of the camp. Once you're here, you got to stay. It was good. This one took me for a ride. You Can't Scare Me. Do not like the cover. And so I wasn't expecting to like the book, but I did. I like a little, oh, I'm going to get revenge. You think you're going to get me? No, I'm going to get you. And that's what this was. Oh, you think you're going to scare me and I'm not going to get you back? I'll do whatever. I don't care how long it takes to get an op back. That's what Nicki Minaj said, and that's what they stood on. The Abominable Snowman of Pasadena. I didn't expect to like this one either because I was like, what is a snowman in Pasadena? But they made it make sense. They made it make sense. They went on like a adventure for some kind of science experiment for one of the parents, and they brought the snowman back, the abominable snowman. They locked him up and brought him back, but then he was there. Now he terrorizing Pasadena. It was good. Ghost Camp. What I tell y'all, I like the camp books. Enough said. Be careful what you wish for. In all the videos I watch, people always rank this so low. I enjoyed this. But I also like a little witchy book, a little, you know, fortune teller vibe. That's my scene. That's my vibe. The Cuckoo Clock of Doom. This one was like, this could be, it's another one that I felt like this could be a movie now, because the concept is really good and really frightening. So with, you know, obviously more build out, more character development, this is something that I could see in the theaters now. Almost done. Okay. Beware the Snowman. This one was like, it felt quite mature. Like it was like a, you know, come to Jesus between a daughter and her father that she thought was dead, but he's not dead. And there's some family secrets coming out and some spells and some witches. And it was good. It was better than I could have thought. The Ghost Next Door. This one was actually really sad. But I like a book that brings out some emotion, and I wouldn't expect that in a children's book. So yes. And last but not least, the mummy books. I'm not really into mummies, but these were good. These were good, especially the first one. And they take place in Egypt, which I just felt like was a super cool, like, change of pace for the Goosebumps books? Yes, yes, and yes. So that is my full quick ranking of the books. In the comments, let me know what's a childhood book series or just single book that you loved, that you would love to revisit, because this was a great journey. I cannot lie. It was really nice to just kind of get away from the adult reading sometimes and read something a little bit more carefree, something that reminds me of simpler times. And I wish that for everybody. So nurture your inner child and read something that reminds you of easier days. All right. Love you guys. Until next time. Bye.